What if the most important thing about your life isn't what people see? Not your job, not your achievements, not even your words, but your heart. You must sincerely assess your current priorities to determine whether anything or anyone is competing with God's place in your life. Because according to Jesus, your heart is not just emotional, it's directional. It determines where your life is going. Jesus says, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In simple terms, what you value most shapes who you become. You ought to make it your utmost concern to be right and wise in the choice of your treasure, because the temper of your mind, and consequently the tenor of your life, will subsequently reflect carnality or spirituality, earthly or heavenly, as the choice of your treasure is. Wherever your treasure is, there your value and esteem are, there will your love and affection be. It is the way your desires and pursuits will go. Your aims and intents will also be leveled there, and all that you do will be in view of that. Wherever your treasure is, there your cares and fears will be, lest you come short of that which you are most concerned of. There your hope and trust are, there your joys and delights will be, and there your thoughts will be, your inward thought, your first thought, your free thought, your fixed thought, your frequent thought, your familiar thought. Think about it. If your treasure is money, you'll chase security. If your treasure is approval, you'll chase validation. If your treasure is status, you'll chase recognition. Your heart follows your treasure, not the other way around. Your heart is God's due, and your treasure must be laid up with Him, so that He has His due, and then your soul will be lifted to Him. Spiritual treasures include your prayers, fasting, and alms, and if you have done these in truth and uprightness, with an eye to God and His acceptance, then you have laid up your treasure in heaven in a book of remembrance written and recorded, shall be rewarded on the other side of death and grave. However, if you do them for the applause of men, then you have laid up your treasures on the earth, loading it in the hands of men. It is foolishness to lay treasures in the hands of men, for the praise of men that is coveted so much is vulnerable to corruption, it will soon rust and be tarnished. Hypocritical services lay up nothing in heaven, their gain is gone when the soul is called up for, but if you have prayed, fasted, and given alms in truth and uprightness, with an eye to God and to His acceptance, and have approved yourself to Him in them, then you have laid up my treasure in heaven, and a book of remembrance is written and recorded there. You shall be rewarded with comfort on the other side of death and grave. Today, treasure doesn't always look like gold or riches. It can look like likes, followers, success, comfort, control. None of these are wrong on their own. But when they become central, they begin to control. Jesus continues with a powerful metaphor. The eye is the lamp of the body. What you focus on fills your life. If your focus is clear, your life is full of light. If your focus is corrupted, your life fills with darkness. In today's terms, what you consistently watch shapes how you think. What you consume influences how you live. The eye of the body is the heart. It should be free, bountiful, liberally affected, be inclined to goodness and charity, direct to Christian actions, making the whole conversation full of light, evidence and instances of true Christianity, and of good works. If the heart is evil, covetous, hard, envious, griping and grudging, then the whole conversation will be heathenish and unchristian. If the light that is in someone, that is, those good affections that guide to that which is good, is darkness, corrupt and worldly, with neither a good nature nor a kind disposition, then the corruption in that person will be very great and they will be sitting in great darkness. The eye of the soul is the conscience, to guide and direct aright, and if it makes true and right judgments, is discerning especially in the great concern as to choosing rightly, then the affections and actions will be rightly guided and be full of grace and comfort. However, if the conscience is evil and corrupt, and instead of leading the inferior powers it is being led, bribed, and biased by them, and is erroneous and misinformed, then both the heart and life will be full of darkness and the whole conversation corrupt. It is sad when a man's spirit, which should be the Lord's candle, causes him to err. An error in judgment is fatal. Therefore you should make it your concern to understand things aright, and to get your eyes anointed with eye salve. The eye also represent your aims and intentions, the ends you set before you, the goals you shoot at, the places you go to, and everything you do as a Christian. If you aim honestly, fix the right ends, move rightly towards them. If you aim purely and only at God's glory, seek His honor and favor, direct all entirely to Him, then all your actions will be regular, gracious, pleasing to God and comfortable to you. However, if instead of aiming only at God's glory and your acceptance of Him, you crave your own applause or that of men, And while you profess to honor God, you scheme to honor yourself, and seek your own things under the pretense of seeking God, then your whole conversation will be perverse, unsteady, and the foundations out of course, with nothing but confusion and every evil work in the superstructure. The end specifies the action. It is the most important in the Christian faith, that you are right in your aims and goals, and make eternal things, not temporal ones, your objective in all things. Imagine your mind as a room. Every image, every message, every influence is like light entering that room. If the light is healthy, your perspective becomes clear. If the light is distorted, everything begins to look off. That's why focus matters. Not everything deserves your attention. The hypocrite is like the waterman who looks one way and rows another. The true Christian, however, like the traveler, has his journey's end in his eye. The hypocrite soars like the kite, with his eye upon the prey below, which he is ready to come down to at the slightest opportunity, but the true Christian soars like the lark, higher and higher, forgetting the things that are beneath. One of the biggest struggles today is distraction. Constant noise, constant scrolling, constant comparison, and slowly, without noticing, focus shifts. From purpose to pressure. From contentment to comparison. Jesus is warning us, guard your focus. Because what you look at consistently shapes what you live out daily. Then comes one of the most direct statements: no one can serve two masters. You will either love one or hate the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This isn't just about wealth. It's about divided loyalty. Mammon signifies gain, so whatever is in this world that you consider gain to you, is mammon. Whatever is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life, is mammon. For some their belly is their mammon, for others it is their ease. Mammon could also be sleep, sports, or entertainments. For others it is worldly riches, honor, promotion, or the praise and applause of men. In a word, self. The unity in which the world's trinity centers in, sensual, secular self, is the mammon which cannot be served in conjunction with God, for if it be served, it is in competition with Him and in contradiction to Him. It is not that you must not or should not, but you cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot love, hold to, or be held by both God and mammon in observance, obedience, attendance, trust, and dependence, for they are contrary to each other. Many people try to balance both, faith and control, trust and anxiety, purpose and comfort, but divided focus creates internal conflict. Because your heart cannot fully belong in two directions at once. God wants you to give Him your heart. Mammon wants it too. God wants you to be content with what you have. Mammon wants you to grasp at all that you can ever have, whether by fair or foul means. God tells you not to defraud or lie, but to be honest and just in all your dealings. But mammon tells you to cheat even your father, if you can gain by it. God wants you to be charitable, but mammon wants you to hold on to what you have, and that giving will be your undoing. God wants you to be careful for nothing. Mammon wants you to be careful for everything. God wants you to keep the Sabbath day holy, but mammon wants you to make use of that day as well as any other in the world. The commands of God and mammon are so inconsistent to each other that you cannot serve both. You must not then go back and forth between God and Baal, but choose whom you will serve, and abide by your choice. So, what should Christians be mindful of? Now, let's bring this home. Ask yourself, what do I think about most? What do I prioritize daily? What influences my decisions? These reveal your treasure, and your treasure reveals your direction. Acceptance with God is treasure in heaven, which can neither be corrupted nor stolen. His "well done" shall stand forever, and if you have laid your treasures in and with Him, your heart will be with Him, and there is no better place it will rather be. Jesus is not just giving information, He's giving direction. Choose what leads your heart. Choose what shapes your focus. Choose who you serve, because your life will follow. As we close, take a moment to reflect. What truly has your heart? Is it something temporary, or something eternal? Because where your treasure is, your life will follow. If this message helped you reflect, challenged your thinking, or encouraged your faith, like this video to help others find it. Subscribe for more practical teachings. Share it with someone who needs this reminder. And hit the notification bell to notify you of more biblical-based contents on this channel. Thank you for watching. And remember, what you focus on shapes who you become.